Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday. This is a weekly show which covers all the news of Star Citizen from the week just past. I am your host Mac, so let's get on with it. This week, the Origin 100 series of starter ships was released. Around the verse brought updates on the Avenger, the 600i, the 100 series and the Hammerhead, plus Calling All Devs talked about apartments, decompression and ship reworks. So on Calling All Devs this week, the first question was regarding the Freelancer Max. It says it's supposed to have 4 engines, but the Matrix now shows only 2. What's going on here? And they say currently it's an error in the ship Matrix. As they build it out, it may change in some areas. The engines will either be more powerful or there will be 2 more due to the amount of mass that it needs to pull with it being the cargo hauler. Next question is to do with the Cutlass and whether they consider allowing us to fly from the co-pilot seat instead of the pilot seat, so slaving the pilot controls to the co-pilot, and they say no, it is not likely. The front seat is specifically designed as the pilot seat. The rear seat is, again, designed as a support gunner co-pilot seat. Third question is, are there any plans to have apartments on planets and cities such as ArcCore? Now, they did say it's a little premature. Currently, the Easy Hubs, they are intended to be rentable locations. So you may be able to rent an Easy Hub on ArcCore for a month or whatever, or however long you choose to. They still need to work out player housing and guild housing. It's a bit way off for the moment. So they're getting the foundation of the game done first. Easy Hubs will be a commonplace, so you'll either be able to rent them anywhere you like, and there will be nicer variants, there'll be different variants, not just the ones that we know so far that are very small and cramped. Some of them will be more luxurious, others may be a little different in style and aesthetic. I personally think down the line there's no reason why they can't do apartments, having player housing apartments, maybe instancing them somehow. But as they say, it's just way too far off at the moment. Get the foundation in, work on the Easy Hubs, and then they can move on from there. Anyway, the next question is, are there any ships other than what we know scheduled to be reworked or revised? So they say that they're prioritising the current ships that need reworking. Obviously we know these are things like the Avenger, the Cutlasses, all these other ships. The only ones that they do want to update is the Origin M50, the Greycat Buggy and the Merlin. Not a full rework like some of the ships, more like what we've done with the Hornet, which is like new materials, new shaders, something along those lines, just to make it look a bit more fancy and up to the current standard. This isn't confirmed. They're not confirming that they're going to do this. They do want to. It just depends on when they can get to it. But they did say do not expect the Redeemer this year. Anyway, final question is to do with decompression. So what is the status? Now they had to push this back a little bit. They didn't want to rush into it without exploring it within environments. They've got it working in ships. They just cannot simply copy it over to environments. They need to make sure that it applies to locations and ships individually first, just to make sure that it works properly. Anyway, that's Calling All Devs, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Very excited for apartments and even these Easy Hubs. Sounds like it could be quite interesting. So just a quick heads up, there will be no Star Citizen Sunday next week due to the fact that I will be attending BritizensCon. BritizensCon is a fan-organised Star Citizen event held each year at the Radisson Blu Hotel in Manchester Airport. If you are interested in going, do check the link below for more information and tickets. If you cannot go though, do not worry, as there is an official live stream of the whole day which is being hosted by Miserable G and yours truly. So be sure to follow them on Twitch, twitch.tv/BritizensCon. We have a lot of stuff planned for the stream, plus plenty of giveaways. Big thank you to the Cray Raiden and Sunkshark for those. I will do a couple of live streams myself from my own account and my phone of my time over the weekend. I do look forward very much to meeting you guys who are going. It is always a great event, meeting lots of developers, lots of other content creators and backers. If you can go, I highly suggest it. So this week's Around the Verse was a new ship shape. Kicking it off with the Origin 100, which is a new starter ship from Origin. It is more sleeker, more upmarket, sort of an entry-level ship. Adds a lot more variety to the personal choice. They want it to be like buying a car, so you can have your favourite manufacturers. Think of the 100i as more of a BMW Mercedes style. It's got similar style components to the Aurora. It is a single-seater with a jump drive. It's got a side door entry, wheeled landing gear, and a fold-out bed like the 300. It has a refinery item between the air intake, between the fuel intake and the tank, sorry. You scoop up a wide range of gases and then convert them into fuel. I mean, it can't go full throttle forever, but it has a significantly higher range than other ships due to this air system. They currently don't have a 3D model yet, it's just in pre-production, that's complete. They've got 3 variants. You've got the base, which is the Explorer, that has 2 standard cargo units with regular weapons. It's got the 125A, which is a combat variant equipped with military equipment and 2 missile launchers. And then the 135C, which is your cargo variant, which holds an external cargo pod at the rear, holding an extra 4, which gives it 6 SEU total. Now, it's on sale now at the moment, and pricing is as followed. So for the 100i War Bond, it's 32 quid. For the non-War Bond, it's 36. For the 125A, it's £40 War Bond and 44 non. And then for the 135C, it is £44 and 48 non-War Bond. So it's actually quite a reasonably priced ship. It's got swings and roundabouts compared to things like the Mustang or the Aurora. Obviously, they don't want it to be better than those. They need to have certain areas that may be better, maybe worse. Personally, I really like it. I think it's a very cool, nice styled ship. I think it's got its benefits in terms of being able to go further and having this refinery built into it. It's not going to be as robust as the Auroras, but it will be more agile. They did say they intend to spread manufacturers around, so not just having Aegis getting all the love all the time. So this is why we're seeing a bit more in the terms of Origin. Sticking with Origin though for the ship shape, we looked at the 600i next. Pretty much competition, they say, to the Constellation. It is used for similar things to the Connie, like exploring, combat, travelling, just a little more luxurious. It's got a modular core which can be swapped out for other features. So far they have 2 variants. The first one is a touring variant with a mobile hotel suite used for VIPs or dignitaries. Has a very good loadout as well still, so it's not cut down the weaponry. The other variant is exploration, so planetary scanning and exploring. Having 2 extra scanning stations and a drop lift with a buggy on board. I don't know if it's going to be the Cyclone, it may be its own variant, I can't remember. But this is more for planet-side exploration. Now, the interior and the exterior is very sleek. There is not a lot of clutter lying around like we see in other manufacturers. You enter via an elevator underneath. On the left, you've got the captain's quarters. Then on the right, you have the module section, so it's the rover storage if you have the Explorer variant. That has its own lift as well for the rover. An elevator further up goes to the escape pods, the bridge and the upper deck. And then on the top deck, it has the elevator to crew quarters, which is also accessible from the lower decks. There's an armory, it's got a big open base with a kitchen, pool table, seating area and bar, an engineering area, a storage area and an area for your components off to the side. It is really cool ship and such a nice layout. Reminds me so much of the Normandy from Mass Effect. Now they're looking at luxury brands for inspiration. Has a lot of glass around it all, like glass doors, and a lot of good lighting. The ship feels more airy, more bright and clean. The actual ship became bigger, so it went from 60 meters to 90 meters in length. Very, very big ship. The cockpit has an open canopy with a real fantastic view, completely unobstructed, so you've got a really nice view there. It's having a final art pass at the moment. They're just setting up the usable items on board. They need to look at the style, consistency and lighting before they can really move on. But the first one out will be the exploration variant. This is coming in 3.2, so end of June, very, very soon, if they get it on track. It sounds like it's quicker than the Constellation as well. They said that you'll be able to get to locations quicker than a Constellation pilot. Now, they did say that the plan is for the 600i team to then split into 2. Once that is complete, half of the team will work on the 890 Jump, the other half will work on the Banu Defender, and the current team that are working on the Banu Defender will then work on the Banu Merchantman. We won't see any of those ships this year, but the work is beginning, so that is very, very exciting to hear that. Anyway, we had a very quick tour of the interior view of the Hammerhead. Bit of an extended clip from the ATV a little while back. We got to see some corridors, the cargo bay, the bridge. It is coming along very nicely. But the final look of the ship shape was at the Avenger rework. Now, they're revamping the old one as it was just too small. You couldn't stand up straight in it. It was not big enough, basically. Now you can walk through a door. You don't have to go into a canned animation and clamber in. It's got a bigger bed. It's more, they say it's more of a quality of life improvement for the pilot. Obviously, they kept the same shape. It looks identical, just bigger. The components are housed in the bedroom area too. It's got a new interior. They're getting the LODs implemented first and the damage tech. It's a few months out, they say, but it's fundamentally working. I personally love that. I've got an Avenger Titan and it's one of my favourite ships, and I'm so happy it's being updated. It's such a poor ship at the moment for what it should be, so once this comes in, I will be using it a lot. The Titan is a great general purpose ship, so if you're looking for a reasonable priced, all-round kind of ship, the Titan is definitely the way to go. Anyway, they did say there's a free fly happening. Yesterday it started, Friday the 13th. It ends on the 16th. You can play Star Citizen 3.1 for free. You do not need to buy a game package. All you need to do is sign up on the RSI website, which is free. Please use my referral code. That will give you 5,000 United Earth credits for free. So in-game currency when you do play it, you get to fly around with some free ships there and just check it out for yourself. See what you think about it. See how your computer handles it. If you are new to the game, do let me know how you found it, if you're excited to get into it. Let me know your favourite pieces of ATV. For me, it has to be the Avenger, although I was very pleasantly surprised with the 600i. Anyway, let's move on. So this week's Reverse the Verse took a further look into the Avenger. There's the 100i and the 600i, just answering some community questions. Starting with the Avenger. Is the Avenger going to get a standard nodes hardpoint allowing us to swap the weapons out? And they say yes, it will. Like the Gladius, you will be able to swap out the Tiger Strike for pretty much whatever you want, as long as it fits the right size. Next question is, will the Avenger variants stay as variants, or will they be modular, allowing us to swap out, say, the Titan for the EMP and vice versa? They say they're still unsure about this. As it stands, they do function as modules. They're just not too certain on how the swapping mechanics is going to work, so there's no hard answer on that one yet. How big is the Avenger? How big is the new Avenger, sorry? They say it's about 3 meters wider, 3 meters longer, and 1 meter taller than the previous one, so that's really increased in size. Final question for the Avenger is, will there be a 2-seater variant like we saw originally? And unfortunately, they say it's fairly dead now. There's no immediate plans for it, so it's likely that it won't come. Obviously, if they do see a need for it later on down the line in the game, they will produce it, but pretty much no. So, moving on to the 100i. First question is, how can the 125i be effective with only 2 size 1 guns? And they say it's a starter ship first and foremost. It should not be compared to a fighter ship. It's more of a light fighter, but it's small and nimble, better against similar sized ships or as a team. They did say, though, that they know that size 1 guns are not very useful at the moment, and they do have plans in the future to bump them up, but not in terms of just increasing the DPS. Next question is, what is the advantages and disadvantages to the 100i over other ships? And they say one of the big reasons is the fuel intake system. Obviously, that allows you to refuel more types of gases compared to other ships. Aesthetically, it may suit your style compared to the other 3 ships, but each starter ship is biased towards something. Like the Aurora is more tougher, the Mustang's more agile or more speedy, whereas the 100i is one of the others, just with the expense of one of the other ones. Next question is to do with the air fuel systems and what is it, what's the status of it? Essentially, fuel will be more of a precious commodity, and not all ships will be able to regenerate fuel. So factoring range and mission types and refueling stations on route will be really important to think about. The 100 series will just be able to regenerate more fuel of different types as well, whereas other ships will not be able to. There is actually a whole post on the fuel system, which I will probably cover in another video later this week, so we don't want to delve too much into it just yet. Next question is to do with the field of view on the 100 series cockpit. What is it like? Now, they say there's no struts. The dashboard may be a little visible, so you can read the MFDs. They do try to give Origin much more visibility, and they don't want to do something that makes people unhappy about it, so we will see what it's like when we get it in-game. Question after that is to do with the 100 series being modular. Is it? And no, it's not. Next question is, was there a racing variant considered for the 100 series? I personally thought it was a racer when I first saw it. And they say no, they already have the M50, so there's no real need to. But you could swap out components and maybe put competition components inside and see how that goes. But it's not designed from the ground up as a racing, personal opinion there. Next question is, where's the entry to the 100i? And it's a side door, sort of a mini door that folds out with a small set of stairs, allowing you to be able to carry cargo inside, which is quite useful. Next question is, will the other manufacturers have starter ships? They did say it's a very, very good question, but they can't commit to anything just yet. They obviously have what they have to create. I would have thought throughout the course of Star Citizen we will see other ships being starter ships or starter priced Also, don't forget, we will see things like the Aurora. We'll get the New Year Aurora. So this is I think I've got like the 2943 or the 2942 Aurora. Maybe we'll get a 2950 Aurora if they decide to release an updated version. We will see. So final question for the 100 series is the Origin 100 the first to have this air intake system? And they say technically it is, but it's not the only instance of that technology. Obviously Starfarers have the ability to do so as well, but they're just not using the AIR sort of air system. Anyway, onto the 600i. Now they're using the 600i as the style guide for Origin, so taking a look at that, which is coming in 3.2, that is going to be the guide that they use for the 300 series rework and the 100 series. That's the inspiration. First question is to do with the Origin rover. Will it come also in 3.2 when the 600 is released? Now they say it won't come with that specific rover in 3.2. The design brief is done. They just need a concept artist to begin work on it. But yeah, not for 3.2. Next question, what is the size of the 600i cargo space? Or is it with or without the rover? And they say that the rover does sit in the cargo space, but there is an additional area for cargo, so without the rover you'll just get more cargo. Expect to see the metrics released when 3.2 comes, or when it's released with 3.2 should I say. Next question is it overall better than the Constellation? ATV kind of gave the impression it was. Now they said no, it's not better. They are competitors. They each have their own pros and cons. The Constellation is kind of has loads more missiles, holds more cargo, has a snub fighter, and has a different sort of turret layout, whereas the 600 is bigger, it looks nicer, and you know, the swings and roundabouts just depending on who you are and what you want to get out of a ship. Next question, can we tint the glass on the captain's quarters? If you don't know, the captain's quarter has a big open canopy just below the bridge, and it's quite obvious to look in. Now they say there will be privacy options. They've been talking about this. What they would like to try and do is use the glass that has that conversion from transparent to cloudy, where it just fogs over and becomes opaque. That would be kind of cool. Next question is to do with whether there's a light switch in the 600i. Now they said they will look into it, but they're not promising anything. I personally would think that there would be some way to transition the ship's lighting from on to off without having to power it on at the cockpit each time. We've seen the Terrapin have its little switch. That is not necessarily going to be in the Terrapin, but personally I would have thought most ships that has a walkable interior would have the toggle. So, second to last question, are there other 600i modules planned? He says there's always ideas, and it's built in a way that will be able to introduce new ones, but nothing has been signed off yet. I think they have said they want to get the modules done for the current ships before they even start addressing any new ones. And then the final question is just how many decks or levels are there to the 600i? And they say there's 2 decks, but it can feel like more due to its layout and the way that it's been set about. Anyway, that was Reverse the Verse. Some nice questions there. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I do love this 600i. I keep saying it. It's a beautiful ship. Anyway, let's move on. So also this week, there was a new galactic guide presenting the Caliban system. Bug Smashers looked into an insurance issue. There was a new portfolio post highlighting Crusader Industries. April's new subflare is a set of new weapon skins for the Gemini LH-86 ballistic pistol. And with the release of the new Origin 100 series, we had a sale post, we had a Q&A part 1 post, plus a new shipyard article talking about the fuel mechanics now and for the future, of which I will cover in a separate video later this week. So that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for watching, and thank you to our subscribers, plus a massive thank you to our patrons as you make this possible. If you like what we do and want to help us make it better, follow the link in the description to our Patreon page to learn more.